Ayana looked like she was talking to her daughter. Tell me now, you got it. uh,
Good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? How you doing tonight, Ayana?
Hey, good evening. I am doing great. How are you?
Awesome. What about you, Raj? How you doing?
If it got any better, I couldn't stand it. I had to sell it.
Well, hey, I'm excited about tonight, man. We have a platinum artist and a platinum songwriter that's going to join us tonight. Delray Richardson, man. Are you guys excited about that tonight?
Absolutely.
Can't wait to see if he gonna write me a check.
Yeah, I know that's right, man. It may not be a bad
them gold and platinum records in the background. Just let me hold one of them. Run right to the pawn shop.
Yeah, he can just write me a song. I'm good with that. I'll do the rest.
Hey, look. Just give him the pitch. You know what we're in the market for, right?
Yeah.
You see what's scrolling across the screen right there. So we got to jam him.
Not really.
What do yours say? Because mine
That's
say.
How you start off the show. That's how we start off with Guess I'm On.
Right from the get it. That's right.
Wow.
But mine say something different. Mine say need a check for Ayana and Roger. I'm looking at it. That's what it. Please support the show by donating a check to Ayana and Roger. Ayana says she just need a small one. Roger said just put a bunch of zeros behind E. So I don't know. His mind's a little different.
Well, you know what, man? Without further ado, before we bring him to the stage, I'm going to give a shout out to Kenny. Welcome to the show. And Jack, welcome to the show tonight, man. Without further ado, coming to the stage is platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Delray Richardson. Delray.
What's happening, Armand? What's happening, Yana? What's happening, Roger? How y'all doing today?
What's going on, my brother?
Oh, man, I can't complain. One day at a time. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Man. Forgive me, man. I got to get in uniform while you are, man. My bad, man. Now we're straight. Hey, look, Delray. You know how we do it here. This is Legend from the Past show. So we're gonna scroll backwards to come forward, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Where were you born and raised?
Well, I was born in Johns Hopkins Hospital, Baltimore.
Boom.
I was raised in Annapolis, Baltimore, Annapolis, mostly all my years. Robinwood. Shout out to Robinwood. Yeah. You know, that's where I'm from, basically. You know what I mean? You know, stomping grounds. You know, whether it's Bywater, Eastport, Robinwood, 20, Annapolis Garden, Newtown, 19. They called it back in the day. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's where I'm from. You know, so.
My man. So, what's some of the things that you enjoyed doing while growing up?
Oh man, music. You know, I first learned about music in church. So for that reason, I'm blessed, and just something that connects with your soul, I guess. Something that you have to develop over the years. Something that I had to develop, should I say, over the years. I don't know about anybody else, but for me was a developmental process. And yeah, you know, sports, my family, you know, my grandmother, you know, godmothers, my aunties, you know, all of that, you know, that was integral part of my life. Was, you know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, those holidays, you know, really mean a lot. You know what I mean? When you think about growing up, where I grew up at, you know what I mean? So yeah, for me, you know, that's what it meant for me. Growing up, music, yeah, those type of things.
Awesome. So now, you know, there were a lot of bands in Annapolis, man. Is there any particular band that stood out to you that pretty much put you in the music way of?
Well, I mean, well, I would say, you know, the DMV predominantly is, you know, go-go, as we all know. Like I said, my godmother and godfather, they ran the kitchen at the Cars Beach Club. I don't know anybody know about Cars Beach Club. You know what I mean? I used to go down there as a youngster and be in the kitchen. I couldn't go out on the main floor. They would have like James Brown, it was Ella Fitzgerald, whether it was Sarah Bond. It was all of these people that they would have down there. And that was one of the places that African Americans could go and have a good time. That, you know, most people don't know that was a black beach. A lot of people don't know that now versus how it's been gentrified, if you will, you know. So from that perspective, you know, that was something that I learned at a very young age. And just the rhythm, man. Just the rhythm, you know, like I said, that was amongst rhythm and good food and people and black folk and all of what that meant, you know, to us. So you know, we didn't we didn't wash our collard greens out in the bathtub.
Oh my God.
I'm just joking. But we did do it in the sink, though. I ain't gonna lie. You know what I mean? The grandmother used to do it in the kitchen sink. Now we're not gonna lie. Now there's a lot of the greens. You know how they used to shrink up once you put them in the pot, right?
Oh yeah.
Because we used to grow them. My grandmother and them used to grow them. You know. Yeah. But like I said, as far as, you know, in that, like, you know, Cars Beach Club was that spot where, as a youngster, I really got in touch with the music. Then as growing up, you know, the go-go bands, EU, Red Essence, Junkyard. My uncle, my grandfather was in well, you remember Grand Theft, right?
Right.
Yeah, Grand Theft. My cousin Lamar, Grand Theft, and man, I can't think of my grandfather. The song "Kings of Fools." My grandfather Jobo.
Okay.
I can't think of the. I can't even look. This is so. You know, I need a spanking for this one. Not Grand Theft. Uncle Roland played the drums.
Uncle Roland
played the drums.
So you talking about the Van Dykes?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Van Dykes.
There you go. My bad. My grandfather was the original bass player, Jobo Brown. Uncle Roland played the drums. Yeah, so, you know, growing up watching them, they would rehearse around Stanton Center. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, and then I joined the band as I got older. I was and we had a go-go band called Those Boys, and we used to play around town, you know, up in DC, you know, Upper Marlboro, Maryland. I was the lead singer, lead talker for them at one time. And so, yeah. So, you know, those were the things that I like to do, you know, as well as go to the studio. Got to give a shout out to my man, Reds. Also, Joey Simbly, you know, who I really started like the hip hop and R&B thing with, you know, before I moved to California. And so, yeah, you know, those were some of the things, man. And, you know, some of the music, like I said, my auntie them playing, you know, whether it was M2 May Around the House, whether it was the OJs, whether it was the Isley Brothers, whether it was, you know, George Clinton, who was one of the people that before I even left Maryland, I got to give a shout out to Curtis Spencer. Curtis Spencer introduced me to George Clinton.
He was the funk master.
And so, yeah.
Really?
We had the team down Robinwood called the Funk Force, the basketball team. You know, we won a couple of championships. We would always compete against, where it was cousin John Harris, the Harrison Sons. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, like I said, all of those things, like I said, and even when I see George Clinton today, you know, it's always love. You know what I mean? I appreciate Curtis for linking. As you see, my name under the bottom is Del FunkBoy music. That's where I got that from. I used that pattern of that funk. You know what I mean? Because that was always a part of whether it was on, like even coming to the West Coast, meet Dr. Dre and all of them. You know, they were heavily influenced by the funk. So when you listen to Snoop's first album, you know, you hear that George Clinton, you hear, you know, Dr. Dre, all of this, just that thing. You know what I mean? George Clinton is one of the most sampled, if not the most sampled artists in hip hop.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. So now before I move on to Ayana, you made a power move, bro. You left your roots, not knowing how you were going to make it. Like, what put you in that mindset to leave Maryland and move out to LA? And what plan? Just what was your plan?
Well, I mean, you know, well, like I said, you know, I had gotten into trouble before I left, so I was on the other side of the law at one time. So let's be clear about that. But more importantly than that, through trials and tribulations comes revelation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so when you understand that prepared me for where I am today. I think without going through that, as I look back, let's look at the reality of what it is, right? Not what we hope it would be, and well, if you didn't do this, and let's look at what it is. And so what it is from that perspective, when I left, you know, it was, you know, I had to leave. I was at the Elks Club one night, to tell you how it happened. And my man Robbie Wright, they used to own John Wright. That was the store at the top of Robinwood. And he came home one time. It's like, you know, I was performing around the Elks, you know, doing my thing. And Coy Adams, shout out to Coy again. Coy was like, Del, man, you gotta leave. You gotta leave here. You kind of outgrown here. You know what I mean? And so we went outside, and Robbie was home. And I'm like, man, it's like, you should go back to California with Rob. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? So it was just like that. It was just like that. He came home, and I was working down in Middleton's Tavern, man. I shout out to Arthur Gross. Gave me a job. My man, you know what I mean? Arthur been down there for 35 years, the executive chef. And, you know, one thing led to another, and I came to California, and I never looked back. So it wasn't so much as, you know, I was doing music at home. So I was doing the same things that I would do in California, but once again, you in one of the entertainment capitals of the world other than New York. So it was California, New York. I had relatives in California. So once I came here, you know, it was a little bit of a foundation, but it was still a struggle, you know. It took years for me to really get traction, like I wanted to get traction. You know what I mean? But I was just determined, and I was a hustler about it. And see, that hustler came from being in the streets. That mentality, you know, that you had to have, because in California it's a different monster. So you got to be really about what you say you're about. You know, you got the gang element. You got, you know, you're going in different places, and you really need to know how to move and how not to move. You know what I mean? So I would say that those things, being home, prepared me to come here to be ready to execute what was the plan that I did have. And I could tell you as part of the plan, there was no second plan. There was no, oh, if I don't do this, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it is what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? And that was just my whole mentality as I would approach things. And so how I got in, like I said, I met Ice-T at the club one night. He knew some people I knew, and you know, one thing led to another. And like I said, from that, like I said, once again, from the people that I knew, once I told them that I knew them people, it was like, oh, okay, my man, give him my number. You know what I mean? And so that's how that works. So most people think like, hey, you know, you got a buddy system, like, yo, put me on, like, you know, don't work like that. I had to put myself in the right place to be able to do those things. And so when I left, you know, that was my frame of mind. My frame of mind was like, okay, cool. If I could do it home, you know, I could go here and I could survive all of this. I can go anywhere and do what I need to do. Put my best foot forward.
That's awesome. On you, Ayana.
All right. So a lot of people are multi-talented, but not everyone can write. How did you know that you had a knack for writing?
Well, writing. Well, I would say when you look at any artist, and I would say mainly that's a little hip hop. You look at NWA, you look at LL Cool J, you look at any artist that usually writes their own lyrics, like Ice Cube and people like that, right? The lyrics are born from where you are, right? So it starts from on the street level. Actually, think about it. Most times it was a cipher. Somebody was freestyling, and they were, you know what I mean. So y'all were hanging out, and then you started like the person who would have the best caps, like you'd be capping on each other. You would say something, or whatever, and you would like, oh, that was dope. Like, oh, okay, cool, So now you could take that and you could put those words, to paper, and then put those words then to music. So for me, I could sing, and not as just knowing that I could sing and that I had a kind of good voice at that time. But once again, everything took developing. So, I mean, before I left home, I would say I probably had about 200 songs before I left Maryland. That's just the practicing of writing in the elementary stage and learning how to craft a song. You know what I mean? And learning song structure, learning bars, learning measures, learning all of those things. So that's where that came from. So, and then you would look and you say, okay, you could listen to the radio and be like, okay, there's, okay, he said this, then he went to the chorus. Okay, so you can learn that like if you were to watch a YouTube video. It's like we didn't have that social media back then, but we had an example if you were paying close attention to other artists and how they would write, And so that's the same way you would formulate your thing, but you would come from your own personal experience. Or sometimes, you can just think of things that you wish to happen or you wish to be like if you like the girl, you know what I mean? And your feelings about her and what you would do for her and or all of those things, It's just that same process, just coming from a different person.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And so what are some notable hits that you've been involved with? I know that you work with several artists. What are some hits that maybe our viewing audience might recognize?
Well, the song I co-wrote with Tupac was called One Day at a Time. And that was recorded for approximately 2 weeks before Tupac passed. Eminem then used that song on his, should I say, for the Games album. So what you see on back of the wall right there is from the Resurrection soundtrack, which was the movie about Tupac's life in his own words. If people haven't really watched that whole movie is narrated in his words. So the song One Day at a Time is on there, which was actually my song and Melly Mel from Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 first. And then Tupac did his thing to the song that we produced. And so that was what that was. And then the other plaques, which you see at the bottom, is the Games album, his first album, the documentary, which did 5 million units. The Resurrection album did like 2 million units. And so I would say the We Ain't song, which is I'm a co-write on that, and One Day at a Time as a co-write on that on the Resurrection album. So those two songs right there. As a matter, I've worked with other artists, stuff like that, but nothing as much as success as that had garnered at that particular time. Like I've worked with Melly Melnum on their record, Kid Frost, who's big here in LA, and for the Latino community, people who know who Kid Frost is. I worked with Baby Bash, what they call him Baby Bash now, but we used to call him Beach back in the day. The song, Tell Me How You Get So Fly, Sugar, How You Get So Fly. So you might not know, that was more of a West Coast thing, but I didn't do that part. That was another guy. I believe his name was Johnny J or something like that. But I worked with him like before he blew on a couple of projects that he did. So like I said, it was like, really getting your feet wet and doing what you're supposed to do. And then a lot of other things that I did in regards to like television, like America's Top Model. We would do all of the stuff that the music that you would hear America's Top Model. We did a lot of that stuff. Various movies, in projects like that. Yeah. So getting into the other side of the things, like I said, my thing was more I wanted to be on the side where you getting your music in television and films, because that's where money's at. You know what I mean? And that's where that residual income comes from. You know what I mean? Like, you could be on a record and it's cool. and just owning your publishing, like my publishing. I own my own publishing and I control my own publishing. So if you want to license any of these songs for any kind of projects, television commercials, movies, whatever, they're gonna have to call me to get my permission to license my portion of the song. So, so for me, it was more about the business. I was more interested in the business because it's a lot of people that you don't know that's in the business that they live very well. You don't even know their name. You know what I mean? Versus the people that you see out that you think doing well. You know what I mean? And when you really come to find out, they got jerked. You know what I mean? Or they really didn't manage their money correctly. So like I said,
we've seen all of those Lifetime stories and
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, all of that. But yeah, that's just something that I worked on. But these two right here were mainly the more successful ones, like 5 million records and 2 million records with the Tupac thing.
Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for that answer. It's on you, Roger.
All right, Delray, what's happening, man?
What's up, Roger? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know you from the hood when your address is in Robinwood. Now you say you was with those boys. Who was in that group with you?
It was me, Toy, Brian, Paul Johnson Jr., Rolo they called him. Brian Parker.
Okay.
Brian Parker.
Christopher Parker was with you?
Yeah. Chris, his brother Chris, for a minute. Yeah. Chris played the Rollertons. Yeah. Chris,
okay.
Brian and Chris. Yeah.
You know who their big brother is, right?
Who is that?
Me.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because when you came around, I was gone. I was already in the army.
Oh, you was in the okay, right? Yeah. Brian had left him. He went to the military too.
Yeah, he went in the Air Force.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because we talked about that because he was down there by me in Atlanta.
Okay.
He was in school. He was wearing my pocket out. So when because he
you know what? We have missed Brian. Because me and Brian was so cool. Like even at the days we would have band practice, right? You know your sister Pam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she a trip, right?
Pam not a trip, man. Pam is a whole vacation, bro. That's a whole vacation man. Right there with Pam.
Hey, look,
Pam been like that since day one. She was small. She was like that when she was 5 and 6 years old.
Listen, Pam, I would go over there. We would have band practice, right? So we had band practice. This was over Eastport.
Right.
And so we would have band practice. So I would get over there. I'd probably be one of the first people there, right? And Brian, he might be eating. He might be doing whatever, right? So I knock on the door. She would open up the door and be like, "What you want?"
Yep.
I'm like, yo, we got practice. Well, you could go downstairs and you can go around the back. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, it's all good. Pam was a trip.
Pam.
Yeah, like I said, that just bring back the memories, right? Yeah. Those were the days, man. It was good, but we missed Brian when he left. When he went to the I remember like when he told us he was going, and then he found out and wind up leaving. It's like, man, because we had such a camaraderie,
right?
And we were tight. And it was just this certain thing, the communication in the band when we would communicate and do certain things. And it was just that love. Then he just had a nonchalant way that he played the drums. That was just so like sometimes it was just expressionless, you know what I mean? But he was just back there handling his business. But it was just those things like everybody pretty much, held their own. So yeah.
Well, after we get off the air to give you his information so you can call him.
No, I got his information. We Facebook friends.
Oh, okay, because he in Seattle now.
Yeah, we communicate definitely.
Yeah, he in Seattle over there with that big old house and all that other stuff.
Absolutely, I'm glad he's doing well. More importantly,
yeah, he's doing extremely well. The wife retired, and then he retired. Then he did like army, went back to work, so they doing great.
Absolutely, that's good to hear.
I saw that you cooked for quite some time. How did you get into that, and how did the cooking lead to music?
Well, I mean, I was double dipping, man. I'm a hustler, man. You know what I mean? And so when you while I was doing that, I would come from Middleton's. I would, like I said, I would come from Middleton's, and I would go, like I said, I would go to the Elks, and I'm getting it in. I'll go home, take a shower, boom, my grandmother at that particular time lived over Bloomsbury Square, so that was right across. That was right across the street from the Elks, right? So I could go home, take a shower, you know, and do that. So like I said, for me, but my uncle used to cook a lot. He used to work at a lot of those downtown restaurants, and so you know, kind of like got it from him. But like I said, just you know, wanting to do better and have a job, and like I said, always like I said, doing the music thing. Yeah, it just like I said, you gotta do what you gotta do. You know, you can't run the street. Once you get old enough to understand that you can't run the streets no more, you know what I mean? And you got to try to do something different. You got to get yourself a job and try to be responsible, and you know what I mean? And that's what led me to where I am right now.
Well, you're doing great, brother. We super proud of you.
Appreciate you.
Fella, you know, we really proud of you. My brother Chris gonna trip when I told him I talked to him.
Right. Yeah. Brother Chris,
tell him I said hello.
Tell him I said hello.
Oh, I will.
Yes,
I will. See, every time Armin and Yana, like every time we had somebody on here, they either associated with Roger's family or part of Roger's family. They don't understand. It was a bunch of us.
Yeah. See, I didn't know you. Like I said, I was probably too young at that time. Like you said, you were gone. So.
Oh yeah, I left in '79. I didn't come back till 2009.
Yeah, I was 6 years old.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I was 6 years old.
You trying to say I'm old?
Huh?
He trying to say I'm old on the slide.
No. See, now you volunteered that date, brother. that was your doing.
I just not volunteering those dates.
Hey, Yana, I'm just telling him how old I was. I didn't. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I was going to jump on Yana's supposed to be on my side. I didn't put checklist by her name for next time. But I know what you're talking about the Cars Beach thing. Because I was old enough to go down there and see some of those things. But you know, like you said, now they just gentrified the thing, and the young people don't realize how much heritage was lost when we lost Cars Beach. I mean, the people was coming from. Even when I joined the military, the older guys that was from Baltimore and New York and Jersey, they used to talk about Cars Beach, how they would drive down there and partying and the food and the women and all that good stuff. But as the generations changed, the children that the stuff was passed down to didn't see the historical value. They just saw the monetary value.
Right.
And that's how we lost out. That's how we lost a lot of things in Annapolis.
Yeah. Because
remember, from Church Circle going towards Old Annapolis High School, that was all black.
Right.
Well, all that's gone now.
Yeah.
You know, the other folk didn't come past Church Circle. Downtown was theirs.
Now Fleet Street, all of that. Yeah.
That's right. You start waving that money in front of them, they don't think. My grandfather told me one time, if someone offered you $2 million for something you had, they'd already figured out they could make 20 off.
Yeah.
So why can't you make the 20?
Right.
And
but
see,
I mean,
that's
with the person with the person with the two, right?
Right.
What I think we lack was the fundamental aspect of understanding financial literacy.
Absolutely.
Those are the things that weren't passed down to us. So when you talk about financial literacy and not using your own money, but using the bank, but then you go into the discrimination that came in with dealing with the bank. So I can't. Oh,
yeah, you clicked off. Where you at? Your picture clicked off.
He working on it now, right?
Huh?
He's working on it now.
Yeah, I am. I guess he gonna come back. When he come back, it's on you,
Got you, bro. Got you. So you know while he's having to fix his issues, we got an event coming up in the month of March. You know, it's gonna be like a thank you event, and we're gonna do it in the Mecca.
Mecca.
We back on.
Here he is. Okay.
I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. But yeah, but like I was saying, the financial literacy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Like I was saying, the financial literacy thing, right? As far as that's concerned, you know, in what we didn't understand, but then it came to discrimination with the banks.
Right.
So you couldn't go and borrow money either, you know, and how they finagled that thing. So I think if you choke somebody out, or shouldn't I say, starve them of the resources, right? These are the same things that we're talking about now, like Kamala Harris, even with what she's talking about, being able to give those small business loans for people to be able to start their small business, right? You know, a lot of the people that you were talking about that had the 2 million or would give the 2 million, right? They didn't have to worry about that. So from that perspective, that's why it was always appealing. It was like, oh, I could have $2 million, you know, not even understanding the tax implications of that, the capital gains and all of those things. They're gonna take the money and just go spend it.
And that's,
you know, and not pay the taxes. Now, what you just spent it on, you ain't even pay the taxes, and then they come putting the lien on that, because you didn't handle your business accordingly. So I think that's the reason why that is, and that's the most important thing. But like I said, that's something that you gotta want to understand, that you want to know. A lot of people don't want to know it. A lot of people just want to exist, and they're comfortable in their ways. And like I said, everybody can't be rich. It's just the way it is. Everybody, you know, some people have to be regular people in this regular job because that's what they want to do, and they're happy with that. And I'm happy that if anybody's happy with that, I'm happy with that also. But those are the reasons why that happened the way that happened. Like I said, it happened in my family too. Like, it's like, you know, my grandmother had a house down Mill Swamp Road, and it was like, I asked my grandmother, like, yo, what happened to the house? Like, yo, what happened to that? And he was like, well, she did this, and then she gave it to him. Then I go down there, and now there's white people living there. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean? If you would have just told me, you know, or told us and say, hey, you know what? This is what's happening. This was about to happen. And we can, you know, pull our resources and be like, okay, cool, keep that. What needs to happen? Because when my grandmother left it, she owned it. Like, you know what I mean? What happened? Like, what, you know? So like I said, once again, everybody only thinking about themselves at that time. Then you got that. You know what I mean? So it's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about because my dad is from Gillsville. So I know all that area. All that Mill Swamp Road stuff. Yeah, and the same thing happened
Shout out to Lenny Knight.
Oh, at Browns Woods. Same thing.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. But a lot of Browns Woods family, they still own them properties over there. You know, a lot of families over there, you know, when they have like Browns Woods Day and stuff like that, you go over there and, you know, you still see, you know, you can still, you know, party and stuff like that. They have like, you know, little parties and functions and things like that. But like I said, just overall, when you understand the value of something and then being able to, you had people like Carol Henson that kind of understood that. Cousin Lonnie Brown, he kind of understood that. What's his name that used to own the red carpet in Haskins? Narvane Shops. Narvane understood that because he owned where the red carpet used to be, and then up those apartments upstairs. You know, even before I left home, that was one of the places I used to wash my clothes. I used to take them over there to the wash house in town, you know, on Clay Street. And like I said, once again, and Narvane still owned that. You know what I mean? So that mama signs, that papa sign right there on the corner right there, all of that was his. He was just renting it out to her. Now, I don't know who owns it now, but he was one of the people that really understood that. Like I said, I wish that he was, you know, being who he was and understanding that. I wish he would have, you know, held some kind of class like, look, this is what we should do, because he understood how to finagle and how to maneuver in that area a lot better than a lot of other people. But like I said, you got to want it.
Yeah. Well, you know, at one point, that whole Washington Street area was all black owned.
Oh, now that's what I'm saying. And so by Narvane owning that, he owned it for years.
Yeah.
He was always pulling revenue from that.
Right.
Yeah, he was always pulling revenue from that. And like I said, we were in understanding that, we were some of the number one patrons of what that was. You go to Red Carpet, it was Haskins, Uptown Bar, all of that.
Yeah. All the barbershops was down there at one point.
Absolutely. Mr. Leroy.
There you go. Leroy, everybody had.
Absolutely. The Chambers Brothers. Yeah. And so, like I said, when you understand that, what that was, we had our own, you know, economic stronghold, if you will. You know what I mean? But like I said, once again, you know, instead of we, sometimes it's I. And like I said, everybody can do what they want to do. Most people gotta, you know, you find out for yourself.
Absolutely.
And if you're lucky enough to be able to turn it around or come to the understanding a little bit later and get back, then I'm happy for whoever that is also.
You're right.
You know what I mean? But like I said, at that time, that's what I understood. And, you know, I paid attention. I was like, man, he owned this, you know. We would be in town like, oh, that's, you know, my brother and them used to tell me, oh, that's Narvin Shock. Like, he owned this. I'm like, he owned this? I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? But like I said, the conversation, you know, we would speak, and then that's what that would end. He would never, you know. And sometimes people playing for themselves, they don't want no competition.
Absolutely. There was a lot of black-owned stuff, like Sankey Liquors, the Pool Hall.
Right, absolutely.
And all those
John
places.
Wright.
Yep,
John Wright. Now, when I first came to California, I lived with John Wright.
Oh, okay.
Well, John Wright was passed, may he rest in peace, but I lived with his wife, Miss Bessie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I was, you know, like I said, and she knew me from being a youngster coming up to the liquor store.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that was one of those pillars of the community that, like, okay, cool, you know, and it wasn't no, you know, give you this. It was like, you know, you get out here and you do what you need to do. You know what I mean? And you know, I've been blessed enough to be able to do that just on many fronts. Like now I stock trade. You know what I mean? Like I wish I could teach people that, but you can't because they don't want to learn. They don't want to learn it. Like people making millions of dollars a day, man. Yeah. I see people make it's crazy. It's crazy when you understand it, but they only want that part of the game. You
right.
know, they only like when they see the things, they like, oh, what you doing? You know what I mean? And then when you tell them, it's like, oh, I want to do that too. Like, no, you don't, because it takes time.
Right.
You know, anything worth having, it takes time. It's like, absolutely. And you can't really explain it unless they sit next to you. Now you tell them what to do, when to do it. Like, okay, buy this stock right here. This is what you want right here. You know.
So Delray, we're gonna move forward to the next phase. But before we do so, man, we're gonna recognize a few people. Deneen, she's enjoying what you're talking about. Lenny, you saw Lenny. Lenny said,
Lenny Knight. What's up, Lenny?
Yeah.
What's up, Deneen? Mark
Johnson.
Brother Mark, what up, Mark?
Yeah. That Marine out there, Silk Sims. Simplify, my brother. Simplify, but right here. You know this brother right here, right?
Yes, sir. That's my man. That's my man. What's happening, man? Yes, sir. We call him Pike. We call him Pike down Robinwood. Yeah, we call him Pike. What up, Lawndale?
Yeah,
brother Lawndale. Yes, sir. All them brothers, like I said, all them brothers. Lawndale when he used to play for Lawndale played with CLM when they used to have the Y games. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys that, like I said, once again, was soaking up the game. That's why I call my channel Straight Game. You know what I mean? Soaking up the game, whether it was, from the streets, from people that worked every day, business, reading, and all of those things, being able to apply those things and understand what that means and apply it in your life accordingly, right? Because there's a lot, just like with Jay-Z, I remember he used to be over Eastern Shore. See, most people don't know this. Yeah. Jay-Z used to be over Eastern Shore before he became who he was. He was in the streets. You know what I mean? But a lot of that he learned, a lot of the things that he learned, he applied that to real life business. And now has made those steps, the right acquisitions, the right moves to be able to be who he is now. Wow. So like I said, I look at it from a different perspective. I don't look at it from, most people would shun certain things. Like I said, as long as you turn your life around, you're trying to do good, you're trying to do better. I think that's the most important part, because the Kennedys, they got their money from bootlegging liquor.
Absolutely. Everybody forget about it.
So when they took their money, they took their money and they went and they, have a dynasty. Right now, one of the Kennedy dudes is talking about Donald Trump gonna put him in charge of the healthcare thing. You know what I mean? That just go to show you just how they playing the positions, and they playing. Maria Shriver is a Kennedy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Married to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Used to be married to Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you understand the game, it's like, okay, right. But then when you get in those rooms, it's like, hey, and but you can have a personal conversation with them, and they totally understand it. But for the public perception of things, right? It's all polished. It's all this and it's all that, right?
That's good. That's good. Yeah. So now you're moving right into your straight game talk, right? And we're gonna talk a little bit about what you've been hitting on. Little Rod, the lawsuit against Diddy, and the Cassie lawsuit against Diddy. Talk a little bit about that, bro.
Well, I mean, let's deal with this, and I'm gonna because I wish I had like a slide thing that I could show you. Anytime a man puts his hand on a woman, he's absolutely positively wrong.
Right.
There should be no reason. There should be no reason other than defending oneself. Let's be clear, and trying to defend oneself, and where a man should never put his hands on a woman, and meaning defending himself, trying to get away. You know what I mean? Not trying to be the aggressor in that situation. And so a lot of people, when you're successful or you have the appearance of success, or, you are what the media created, you have to understand it's bigger than what most people really are capable of understanding. The situation with Little Rod, the thing that really clicked with Diddy was when he came out and he said that Diddy told him that he had tapes of high-powered people, music executives, politicians, and NBA players on tape doing some crazy things, right? Mm-hmm. So that's when things got crazy and hectic. But then Diddy went on IG and said, oh, this is a shakedown. These people are doing X, Y, and Z to me, and so on and so forth. Smash. CNN dropped the tape with Cassie at the hotel. All of this was orchestrated. Doesn't make it right. It was orchestrated. And let me tell you why. So now, they orchestrate that. He settles with Diageo, the liquor company that he was dealing with, right? He sued them for racism, right? But then all of this wrath comes down. Like I said, I'm not speaking to his innocence or his guilt. Just hear me. So now, they dropped the tape with Cassie. This is in 2016 that this happened. Appalling. Without a doubt. He was wrong. Wronger than two left feet. And understanding what we're seeing, we know in our families that people have differences. Men and women fight. Men and men fight. Women and women fight. People fight and have disagreements all the time. Right? So now, that was that situation. They want us to condemn him, right? But yet Donald Trump has 34 felonies, has been convicted of sexual assault civilly, right? But yet he can run for president.
Yeah.
I want you to understand something. Just hear me out. So now, 2016, that tape happened. They've been and when Cassie filed her lawsuit, she put in there the thing about the freak offs that they've been talking about, the freak offs. But now what they've tried to do, notice these new lawsuits is coming up. We don't know who none of the people are. Everybody's anonymous now. Some 10-year-old boy or something like that, right? Right? But we don't know who these people are, or even if these lawsuits have any merit. Pause. Go back to Cassie. She files her lawsuit. She's named in her lawsuit. So if you want to get paid, you got to name yourself. You got to show your hand. Cassie showed her hand, say, I participated in these things. I didn't want to, or whatever she did. He settled the lawsuit within 24 hours. There had to be some merit to what she was saying because he settled it. Period. Right. That's it. So now, here comes Little Rod. First, he was asking for $50,000 because he was trying to get his publishing and the money that he was owed for producing and working on the Love album, right? Cassie files her lawsuit. Boom. Then comes his lawsuit with the same kind of allegations that were mirrored in Cassie's lawsuit that he was alleging that Diddy did to him. And he even mentioned Cuba Gooding Jr., who I know and I've met, and I know Cuba Gooding Jr. That's not who he is. He's not that guy. Like, he like to have fun, may have a few drinks or something, but he's not that guy, at least from what I knew about him when I met him. He was a cool guy, funny, humble, all of that, no bodyguard, none of that stuff, right? So now, okay, when you understand that, here come all of these other lawsuits that are mirroring and saying the same thing. They tell us they got tapes, right? Have you seen any? Nope. Other than the Cassie tape?
No.
You ain't seen no tapes, have you?
No.
Nope.
Because they don't exist. They don't exist. They've taken what Cassie said in the freak offs and what she was saying, and they made it into a whole nother thing. Now, I could show you a picture of Cassie and P. Diddy in 2017 at the Met Gala. I could show you another picture of them at his movie premiere, and she's smiling and they holding hands like they in love. If you did not see that tape, you wouldn't even know that they had any kind of disenchantment in their relationship. I'm not saying to innocence or guilt. I'm saying people get into situations where they forgive each other. They get into situations where she might throw something at his ass and he might, you know what I mean? Because it happened. Women know, like, you know, you do something that's wrong and you do something to piss her off, she gonna do something to you. And like I said, they might have an altercation. So like I said, at the end of the day, we got to look closely at what's going on. Just look closely at what's going on. So now Diddy goes up for bail. They say, oh no, you can't let him out. He did this. He's racketeering and he's doing all of these things and he's doing all of this and all of what? So what you're saying, he's running a sex ring? No, he was a trick. He would be tantamount to being a trick because he was paying for it, right?
Right.
He's not a pimp. He's a trick. If that's what they're alleging that he did. So now, racketeering, we won't let him out. Why they won't let him out? You know what they put in the papers?
What?
Remember the Cassie tape. That's it? You mean something that happened in 2000? Listen to what I'm telling you legally. Something that happened in 2016 within Los Angeles, and the DA even spoke out against. He said, well, the statute of limitations on that is expired. It was 1 year for what happened with that situation, right? Talking about legally. So why would they be trying to use that tape to keep him in prison if the statute of limitations is expired on that tape? How could you use that in a federal case when we're talking about what it is that means when it comes to us? Right? Not speaking towards Diddy's innocence or guilt. I'm talking about facts. I'm not talking about my feelings and how I feel about it, because I feel for Cassie. But what we need to know from her is, Cassie, why did you stay? Why did you keep going back? In this picture right here, why are you smiling? Because this happened in 2016 and it looked awful to us. Please help us understand it.
Wow.
Because we need to be able to understand, because we know that, like I said, if you listen, Roger.
Yes.
You've had girlfriends, wives, or whatever. Y'all have gotten in arguments before.
Absolutely. That's why they
not to say that you to the degree that what Diddy did to her, because he was wrong. Period. Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Bottom line, he was wrong. He's wrong. You know. And so when you deal with those things, and then people come out and they make accusations, you basically shun on or basically disregard people who have really been in situations where it is warranted, where they've really been abused, where they've really been through situations, like I said, and that's not to talk about Cassie, but these other lawsuits that's coming out now.
Right.
They had one young lady come out with the lawsuit, and the lawyer dropped her just recently. Why? Because the lawyer had a problem believing what she was even saying. She said she wanted Cassie money. She wanted $30 million for something that she alleged that happened back and she was working in 2000. This is 24 years ago. How you gonna get Cassie money? Cassie was in a real relationship with this guy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So people see the money and then now it's like, oh, you know, the other young lady represented by Gloria Allred. She basically called her boyfriend, who was a black guy, and said, look, if you corroborate my story, I'm gonna give you 6 figures. She ain't even got no money yet. How you gonna know? You don't even know if you're gonna get paid yet. You trying to offer up somebody to corroborate your story and saying you're gonna give them 6 figures. These are all in text messages. I say that to say this. We need to watch out how things are going, because a lot of times when we see people in the media, because they're successful, because they've had some success, we like to believe the worst thing that's possible. I knew he was doing something bad.
Right.
I knew he was the worst thing in the world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay. Donald Trump got out of jail. All of these other people, even with Tupac. And like I said, I talked to Tupac's father, right? And he always said, why you mention Tupac in the same thing as Diddy? And I had to tell him, I'll say, I'm not mentioning him in the same, but I'm saying the resemblance of what Pac had went through when he went through the same thing.
Yeah.
We didn't have any social media, right? So Tupac did the thing down in Georgia with the police officers, the off-duty police officers, which he did when he had shot them. He didn't know they were police. They didn't identify themselves as such. He was just basically defending himself, in which he beat that charge because it came to find out they had guns stolen from the police locker. The guns that they used to shoot at Tupac, they stole them from the police locker, right? And so once again, when you understand that, he goes to court and Tupac stands up and they had no defense for what they did. So he beat the charge. Here come a couple of months later, the situation in New York. We got him. Okay. The young lady, he knew her. They had already been together. Right? This is documented that she gave him fellatio on the dance floor of the club the first night she met him. And they had been together. The situation happened at the hotel. Tupac say he left the room. The only thing I regret was not walking her down or making sure everything was whatever. But when he got to the room, she was already there with people that she knew that knew him. She didn't come with him. He came from shooting the movie. He was coming in. So I say that to say, in the same situation when Tupac got locked up and charged for that, what people were saying, man, he's a thug. I knew it. Yeah, they got him. You know what I mean? Because of what the media wanted you to believe. We come to find out later, Tupac is dead. The same young lady takes a picture in front of a mural in New York of Tupac, and she's in the picture smiling. This is somebody who did something heinous to you? That you're smiling in the picture of a mural and then you would put it on your Instagram? Most people don't even know. She sued Tupac civilly. See, they didn't even talk about that. He settled. He gave her the money. I could give you so many instances. So when we talk about the Diddy situation, as the African American community, we got to be careful about the information that we digest. And
that's right.
Look, my thing is, I just want to see the evidence, man. They've been talking about these freak off tapes. They've been talking about somebody said somebody drugged. They said that something was in the bed. Look, you could have 2 million bottles of baby oil. It ain't illegal. We can clown it in social media and make memes about it all day. It ain't illegal. Show me something that he got that's illegal. The only thing they showed us with the guns was the serial numbers wiped off. Okay, cool. You got them on gun charges. All right. Mind you, I guarantee you, watch this. Sean P. Diddy Combs going to be the only one locked up. And I still think, listen to me, they're going to give you some contract. I still think that he had something to do with killing Tupac. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't absolve him of that because of that. But like I said, that's one thing. And that's because of what he said in records. That's because of what Keefe D said, in the guy that's locked up in Las Vegas right now. That's because of what he said in the beginning when he did the proffer agreement with the Los Angeles Police Department and the United States Attorney's Office. He said, we met at Greenblatt's, which is in Hollywood on Sunset. He named names of people that you wouldn't just name. It had to happen. He named Ron Isley from the Isley Brothers, Sheila Winbush, his wife at the time, right? And she worked on Biggie's album, the song I Love the Dough. I love the dough more than you know. And they did a remake of the song that she had did, right? And so that was at that particular time. I'm like, oh, okay. That's why that would have been. So there's a lot of things, but he never got charged for it, right? Now, Tupac's family has hired an attorney, Jay-Z's attorney actually, to look into that, to see if there's any correlation to Diddy being involved with Tupac's death. So like I said, once again, we got to be careful about how we digest things, man. So I ask you, Ayana, you're because you're the woman in the room. What do you think about the situation?
Well, you know, as far as any evidence about who was at a freak off, I couldn't care less about who somebody's sleeping with if it's not illegal. Anything illegal, yeah, it definitely needs to be looked into. But what I can say is that, you know, without a doubt, he abused Cassie. We saw it with our own eyes. And she doesn't owe any of us an explanation as to why she stayed. There's so many women that get into situations and they stay. I know people in my personal life that stayed for 20, 30 years, getting their behinds whooped. Let me just put it that way. And they don't owe an explanation as to why they stay. People stay for different reasons. People stay for financial security. People stay because they have children. People stay because they're afraid to leave. People stay because they have low self-esteem. They don't have any self-love. People stay for different reasons. And so I don't think that Cassie owes anybody any explanation as to why she stayed, why she was smiling the following year or anything like that. But as far as freak offs and all this other stuff, who was sleeping with who, I couldn't care less.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, and like I said, and that's the thing. And I wanted to hear from you, Ayana, and because like I said, you're the female in the room. But more importantly, you're absolutely right. So why is it? So why is it now that they had this situation and that this tape came up, right? Why is it now that they care so much? You understand what I'm saying? Why is it now that they care so much about what happened on that tape, so much that Cassie didn't care because she didn't file any kind of charges?
Well, it doesn't mean that she didn't care. Sometimes people
No. What I mean by that is she sued civilly, right?
Mm-hmm.
She sued civilly after she left Sean Combs, after she got married, had kids and all of that, right? She came back and she finally, for whatever reason, she got the courage to come and sue. My thing is, when you talk about that of what that was at that particular time, for whatever reason she stayed. The reason why I asked that, the reason why I wanted to know that was because under the circumstances of how they're looking at it now. And she is one of the people who is going to be testifying. They're using her, and if you read the indictment, victim number one, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason why I want to know, because you could be sure that the defense is going to be like, well, here's a picture of you and him. And that's the reason why I brought the picture up, the later pictures, right? Well, here's a picture of you and him such as. Were you being held captive then? Were you being held against your will then? You know what I mean? This is how they played the game. And so once again, whether we want to know or don't know, once that tape was revealed to the public, it is now for public consumption and for public opinion to be cast on that, right? That's the reason why I asked that question. And depending on how she answers that question might be depending on whether Sean P. Diddy Combs spends some lengthy time in prison other than what he's doing right now. That's the reason why I say that. We need to know, not she needs to tell you, me, Roger, or Armand. But like I said, if they're going to use it, because you best believe Diddy has a powerhouse, legal team, that they're going to need to be able to, she's going to need to explain that from that perspective, as well as Little Rod, because they got the affidavits on the people who testified so that they could get the search warrant from that perspective. But like I said, the freak off tapes that everybody's talking about, you got to listen. The guy said he had 120 lawsuits, y'all. The dude, listen.
Right. And so
Ayana, the dude is out in Texas, man. Diddy ain't never had nothing out in Texas. He had a 1-800 number, man. Call the number if you think you've been to the party. We don't even know.
Like I said, anything that was legal, okay, but people being drugged, anybody was raped, anybody was molested, yes, those things need to be looked into. But listen, and I know we're running out of time, but
Ayana, I say that to say this, right? There's nothing been proven nowhere. How do you prove it?
Right, so they got to go through the trial because, to my understanding,
Huh?
The lawsuit is not necessarily about the abuse that took place in 2016. It was about something else, like sex trafficking or something else.
No. Let me run that by you. What that means is when Cassie testified that he was Diddy like watching and would bring these people in, he would pay them, but he would fly them in. That's tantamount to you me liking a girl. She might live in Mississippi. And I say, yeah, hey, you know what? I'm gonna fly you to Maryland. You know what I mean? Fly to Maryland. She don't know how I'm living. When she get to my house, she see I got acreage, I got the Lambo, I got the Benz, I got the Ferrari. And she's like, man. And me and her get it in. Then she goes back home and feel like, man, he didn't get me no Birkin. He didn't buy me no Christian Louboutins. He didn't do none of this stuff for me. And then she got buyer's remorse, and she go to the police and say, well, he flew me in and he did this, that, and the other to me, right? Now they locking me up for sex trafficking. That's basically what the allegation is.
Yeah, well,
so that's like what that is. That's why I was saying that's not what we would call. That's why I say sex trafficking. Usually it's like a pimp who pimps girls.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Who does that? Like I said, that wasn't what that was. And like I said, she admitted to that. But I said once again, now, Ayana, isn't that in their personal relationship?
Again, I don't know all the details, so
I'm saying, but in the lawsuit, I'm asking. The reason why I asked in the lawsuit, she asked that question. I mean, she said that was what they were doing in their personal relationship, right? Mm-hmm. That was civilly, that was settled. Take that, you know what I mean? That was civilly, that was settled, done. Mm-hmm. Then they went and looked into it, and they say, you know what? We can come up with charges for this that had nothing to do with the Cassie situation. We're going to take now and put it under the RICO Act, right?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. How do you take something that was civil and something that was by the statute of limitations expired, then go and charge somebody? That means that none of us are safe. If they wanted to charge you, none of us are safe. That was my thing as far as being African American. None of us are safe, and we got to watch that because that's a very slippery slope when you're dealing with situations like this, and that could be any of us. I can't wait to see what the evidence is, because like I said, if any of this is true, then like I said, he's going to go away for a good while.
Hey Dale, so let me go ahead and close this table. This it's been great. Very enlightening. And you can get that on Straight Game TV. We're going to have to bring you back so we can finish this, okay? It was very, very,
we gotta bring him back when the trial start or something so we can see.
No, like I said, my thing is I'm just as interested, but like I said, being a young black male, I'm more concerned about what we understand about law. Because we don't look, you can bend it. Let me tell you like that. You can bend it, but don't break it.
It's definitely, there's definitely disparaging. What word am I looking for?
Disturbing.
I wasn't going to say disturbing, but anyway, disparities. There's definitely disparities. There's definitely injustices in the system, of course, and it's designed that way. And so, I can definitely agree with you on that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got one thing I want to show you. Hold on for me, just 1 minute.
Okay.
I wanted to, and I don't have nothing to do with this book right here, but this is one of the books that I had read, by the late great Melvin Williams from Baltimore, right? See that right there? It's called The Fruit of a Forbidden Tree. I recommend every African American male. Once again, I'm gonna hold it up again. I don't have nothing to do with this. It's called The Fruit of a Forbidden Tree. And if you haven't picked it up, you can go up to Baltimore. I think it's one of the African American bookstores up there. They have up there, and you can pick the book up. And it has a plethora of legal cases and laws that govern who we are and how they engage with us in the right way to handle it. And I'm like I said, I'm gonna lead with that because, like I said, a lot of times when they say what they say when you want to hide something from a black person, where will you put it at?
In a book.
All right.
Absolutely.
In the book. That's what they say.
So like I said, read REEEEED.
Not read.
Yeah. Ayana, is there anything you want to
leave? Huh?
I see Deneen put in the chat. Thank you. Absolutely. You know, just as a woman and as someone who knows victims of, you know, domestic violence, I definitely had to weigh in on that. So, and thank you for your comment as well. Delray, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We want to thank our sponsors as well, Armand. You want to run down that list really quickly?
So that's J&J Realty Group, Ivy Stokes with My Econ, and also we have Power Image Incorporated. That's Mr. C, Carl Hansen. Thank our sponsors for seeing our vision and sponsoring the show. We'd like to thank everybody who made donations. All right, the Legend Stores Now and LLC. You know, thank you. What else do you have, Ayana?
And just want to thank Delray for being on the show. This was a great show. We welcome you back soon. Like I said, maybe sometime when the trial starts, we'll get back on here and talk about it a little bit more. But definitely, this was a good show, and I appreciate you for being on.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me. And I want to say, since Carol Henson is a sponsor, Carol, we need you to drop some of that game about that real estate and how blacks can acquire real estate and get into the real estate game from that perspective. I think that's very important to our community.
Wow.
Don't die with that information. Share it.
What you got, Raj?
Hey, Delray, man, it was an honor to have you on here. Your boy just texted me. He said he's going to hit you up, Brian.
He just texted me. Okay. Yeah, tell him I said do so. Absolutely. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, so you put out a lot of knowledge and you open up a lot of eyes. So we are behind. But, you know, I've heard that before. If you want to hide something from a black person, put it in the book. Because we don't read
put it in the book.
We need to. But thanks again. Just like Ayana said, we got to have you back, bro, because this story is not finished.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, you guys. Like I said, one love. Pleasure's all mine. Have a blessed day. And yeah, let's do it again.
All right, brother.
All right,
everybody out there who's been watching, we thank you for hanging in there and sticking with us tonight. Delray,
sorry for the technical difficulty on my part.
No problem, man. No problem.
We had those all the time.
We've had worse. We had those
all the time.
We did. Yeah, with me, bruh. Shoot,
is that right?
Yeah, I was receiving feedback. I'm like, what's going on? You know, couldn't do nothing, man. Couldn't do nothing.
Yes, sir.
But thank you, brother. Thank you.
One love. Take it easy, y'all.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right,
peace.
One love.
All right.